Howdy, I am back. Today's the day. So in my last video, while I was doing a review of the NYX Bare With Me Jelly Primer, and while I was filming that, the reason I bought that jelly primer at all was because apparently it's a decent dupe for the Milk Hydro Grip primer, and that one's just a little bit too expensive for me to justify buying it. So I decided to try the NYX one, and while I was testing that one out, I just decided to compare the two lists of ingredients. So while I was doing that, I noticed that in the list of ingredients for the Hydro Grip primer, there were about 5 or 6 different kinds of sugars and sugar alcohols. So that got me to thinking that, you know, I'm not a makeup formulator, but that might have something to do with why the Milk Hydro Primer is so sticky and tacky and works so well to keep your makeup on, because it's like literally sugar on your face. So I'm kind of curious to see if it would work to just mix some regular sugar in with a moisturizer. Maybe that will work as a primer. I don't know. So we're gonna test that out today. So I have a little bit of sugar here. So I just got like a tiny little bit of just regular sugar that kind of comes in bags at the grocery store. And I'm just going to be mixing it in with a little bit of this mugwort cream, because it's a nice lightweight cream. It's getting warmer out now. I'm going to be putting makeup on top of it, so I don't want it to be too heavy. I just want a nice lightweight moisturizer. So I'm going to be mixing it with a little bit of this, and then I'm going to put my makeup over top to see if that will work as a primer. So let's do it. Let's see what happens. Alright, so I don't have anything on my face right now. That's what my skin looks like, with nothing on it. Pretty normal. Alright, let's put stuff on my face. Okay, so I'm just gonna take a little bit of it. Not much. Put it on the back of my hand. That should be more than enough. There should be plenty. It's a really good moisturizer, by the way. And now I'm going to take my sugar, just a little pinch of it, and add the two together. So I'm just going to mix the two together until the sugar has been mostly dissolved into the cream, because you don't want to be putting it on your face and have like chunks of sugar. Like, it's just not a nice feeling to be putting a moisturizer or primer or whatever on your face and have it be scratchy. There we go. That looks pretty good. Most of the sugar's gone, has been mixed in. So now I'm going to go ahead and put this on my face. This is probably way too much. The things you do for science. I'm just really curious to see if it'll work. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? It's sugar. It'll just make your face sticky. If it gets hot, your face will just continue to be sticky. not much is going to happen. I mean, like, what's the worst that could happen, really? Your face being sticky is kind of the point. As you can see, my skin is now pretty sticky, which is exactly what you want. Alrighty. That seems pretty on there. The only issue is now, like, my hand is sticky too. That's okay. That's an easy fix, just wipe it off. Oh, you know what I should have done? I should have done half my face with and half my face without. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. So I'm gonna go and wipe it off half my face. Cause I'm dumb and didn't think of that earlier. Okay. Well, like I said, not that hard to take off. It's just sugar. So obviously this is going to be the side with, this is going to be the side without. I don't even know if there's going to be a difference. I'm just curious to see if this will work. So when I know there are also all sorts of different primers for all sorts of different like effects or issues or whatever. You know, there's pore filling, there's hydrating, there's ones that there's primers that leave a glow. I have one of those actually, it's really good. They're smoothing, mattifying, dewy finish. There's primers that have color correctors built in. You know, there's all different kinds of primers out there. But when I personally think of a primer, I think of something that I can put under my makeup to help it last longer, to help it stick to my face a little bit better, to aid in the longevity of my makeup overall. So that usually involves something that's got a little bit of a tacky finish to it. Too many of the primers that I've tried in the past have been a little heavy on the silicone, and when I put silicone on my face and then try to put makeup over top, especially if that makeup is like has a more hydrating formula, it just doesn't work very well for my skin, in my opinion. So I prefer to use primers that have a little bit of a tacky finish, which is why I wanted to try the Milk one, but it's $40+ Canadian, and I my cheap little heart can't justify spending that much money on a primer. Okay, so this is the side with the sugar moisturizer on it. This is the side that hopefully shouldn't have too much left. I wiped it off pretty good. Yep, still sticky. This will be awesome if it works. Okay, so now I'm just gonna use the exact same foundation that I used last time. Couple dots. Smear it around. So I'm just gonna do one side at a time today, just cause I feel like it. So I'm gonna do the side with no primer on it first, and then go ahead and do that one. So if this does work, and I do like the way that it looks and the way that it keeps my makeup sort of in place, like if I can tell the difference and I like the difference and it's not a crappy difference, then I might just have to make a little tiny container of this and keep it on hand for all of those special occasions that I don't go to. Alrighty, there's one side done. Makeup, no makeup. Primer, no primer. We'll put primer in quotes. Now for the other side. Little dibbity dab. Okay. It does seem to be gripping to the makeup really well. Like, I feel like I'm having having to work. I have to work harder to blend it. Which I personally don't mind. Because if you're wearing a primer for like a special occasion or something, I don't wear primers every day. Definitely not. That's just another. I'm lazy, so that's just another step in the morning routine. Okay. That seemed to blend out pretty okay. There is one thing though. Because you've put sugar on your face, obviously your face is sticky and the makeup will grip to it really well. As you can see up here, I'll try and get closer. Right here, the part of like the nose ring area, like it's hard to blend makeup out well around there, so I touched it with my finger and messed up the primer, so it kind of glooped up a little bit there. Hopefully you can see that right there. Everywhere else it blended out pretty good, but on my nose where I was tapping it out with my sponge and then I just went like this with my finger, which on normal skin would work, but because there's such a sticky layer underneath it, I ruined it. Kind of annoys me and I wish I could fix it. Maybe I will. I think I'm gonna fix it because that's just going to annoy me. It applied really well everywhere else. It does still feel a little bit sticky still. But you can see on my forehead too, right here, this line. There's no sugar moisturizer over here. It's on this side. So it actually does, like, it kind of changes the finish for what it's worth. There's that. So I might blend that line out a little bit because I do have to go to work later. I don't want to look like a complete mess. So I'm just gonna blend that line out a bit. Hopefully without making it worse. Yeah, so I'm just going to fix this little area here that I screwed up. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm not going to set it or anything I'm just gonna leave it the way it is right now. I'm not going to powder or add any other products on top of it. I'm just gonna leave it like this for the day, and we'll see what happens. Look at that line down the middle of my forehead. That's unfortunate. Just wanted to pop in here quick. Okay, I don't know if you can see it, but I fixed my nose. But now, in the act of fixing my nose, this area right beside it got a little bit patchy as well. I'm just gonna leave it like it is. Yeah, right there. There, you can see it. Bloop. So there's just this little patchy area right here. That happens because obviously the sugar is so sticky that when you initially blend out the makeup, it grips really well to that sugar. But if you have to go and fix an area, if you try and pat anything out, nothing, once you've patted the makeup out and blended it out the first time, it won't blend anymore after that. So you gotta go do a good job the first time. Or, if you make a mistake, you basically have to wipe the entire thing off and do it again. The forehead looks weird. Yeah. If you're trying this at home, obviously you would be doing your entire face. I wouldn't recommend this for, just applying on specific areas of your face, like maybe your nose or the sides of your nose or your chin or wherever you would apply certain primers to certain areas of your face that give you more issues. This is an all-over primer. This is a all or nothing. So I just thought I'd pop in real quick and say that. By the way, it's 9:30 in the morning right now. So this was put on 9:30 in the morning. Later. Another quick update. I was just touching my face a couple minutes ago and noticed that the side of my face. Why aren't you focused? Rude. The side of my face, the sugar moisturizer mixture on it, it's dried down silky smooth. At least that's how it feels. Like if I'm running my fingers lightly across my face, it's less tacky than this side of my face that just has the foundation and nothing else on it. So that's actually really, I was expecting it to stay tacky all day because you're putting sugar in a moisturizer, but it feels actually really smooth. So that has surprised the crap out of me. So it also seems like, along with this really sort of soft, dried down, smoother texture, that it's also diminished some of the more glowy finish that the foundation that I used has, if that makes sense. So see, there's a little bit of a sheen to the forehead here. Over here, there's not so much. There's wrinkles, but there's no sheen. So that's actually a really interesting side effect of this sugar as primer experiment. Hello. It is 10:30 at night, so I've had this stuff on my face for 13 hours. That's a long time. So I figured figured I better give my final thoughts before I forget and wash this off and go to bed and then wake up tomorrow and go, oh crap, I forgot. So here's how she's looking. I'm actually overall really impressed with the sugar mixture. This is the side with nothing extra added. This is just foundation. This is the side that had the sugar moisturizer mixture on it. I got lip balm everywhere. That's not becoming of a lady. Oh boy. So it was really interesting today to do this little experiment because this not only kind of worked, but it did a couple things I just really didn't expect it to, so that was kind of cool to discover. Upon initial application, I did learn that you have to work fast. I just used a regular, like a cushion puff when I applied it. So right around here, right around my nose ring area, it's difficult to get your makeup looking smooth around this area. And with the sugar moisturizer mixture, I think I put a little too much sugar in it. I mean, this is at-home science, so I was not using precise measurements. I probably used a little bit too much sugar, but it was really tacky on my skin. I just think that because I used a little too much sugar probably, when I put the foundation on, as soon as the foundation touched that tackiness, it stuck there. So then when I was patting it out, it looked great. It looks great everywhere else. It's because it was a big area that it could spread out properly and settle onto. But because I went over this part more than once to kind of try and smooth it out a little more, which works fine anywhere where you don't have primer. On the side I didn't use primer, I could go over it as many times as I wanted basically, and things would just keep blending. But because this side has such a tacky layer on it, so what ended up happening was everywhere else looked great, but I got some patchiness. You can still see it actually. So I don't know if you can see that, how patchy my nose just right in this area is. Everywhere else looks pretty good, other than the redness underneath the foundation, but whatever. Everywhere else looks pretty good. There's no patchiness anywhere else. Not even on the top of my nose. It's a little bit shiny, but the top of my nose here looks fine. It's just this area right here where I messed with it. That, I think, was the problem. So I will say that this does work. You just gotta be real careful and work real fast and don't make mistakes, because if you make a mistake, you're gonna have to take it all off and start all over, because good luck trying to fix that mistake without just making it look worse. But if you can pull off making it look good the first time, I think this actually works really well as a primer, surprisingly. Again, when I initially applied it, this side was still pretty tacky. Everything was still pretty, it still felt sticky, even with the foundation on there, as did this side. I use a glowy foundation, so it takes a while for that to dry down, if it does at all. So that wasn't surprising at all. What did surprise me was that about half an hour later, I touched my face very gently. This side had completely dried down and felt silky smooth to the touch. But this is the side with the sugar moisturizer mixture on it. And this is the side that dried down. The foundation didn't just set on my face. It set, not matte, but it dried like semi-matte. It definitely something in that mixture, something that the sugar did. I don't know what exactly it is, but you can see the sheen on my face slightly. There's a slight sheen on my face over here. I don't know if it's going to be obvious in this light, but there's less of a sheen over here, and then there we go. If I move my head like this, you can still see that line down the center of my forehead very slightly. This is the side that I primed. Do I know why it did that? Not a clue. I'm not upset about it. I kind of prefer a glowier foundation because that's usually indicative of a more hydrating formula, but I'm not mad at it at all. It was unexpected, but I'm not at all disappointed. I think I'm going to try this out again with a damp makeup sponge, like one of those beauty blender kind of things, because perhaps this may work better. You may be able to blend your foundation over top of this primer better, and the formula may be a little more forgiving if you apply the makeup with a damp sponge as opposed to a dry one. The cushion puff that I used was dry. They're always dry. So maybe that will work. I don't know. Maybe it will totally screw it up. Maybe it'll just make everything a sticky mess. But then again, that's what I expected to happen today, and it didn't. And I was pleasantly surprised. So I would say this is a surprising and welcome success. It does need some tweaking. I would say if you are going to try this out, use a moisturizer that isn't too heavy. Try and find a nice lightweight moisturizer, and be very careful with how much sugar you use. I would say, I have the sugar right here, so I would say maybe like start out with that much sugar. I don't know, like 10 grains, and just work your way up, because it can be really difficult to blend the makeup out on top of a layer that's too sticky, and you'll just end up making a patchy mess out of your face. Bear that in mind, but I think this was a fun little experiment. I think it was a success. I do not in any way, big disclaimer here, I do not in any way think that this is a perfect dupe or any kind of replacement for the Milk Hydro Grip Primer. Even though I haven't tried it, I know that there wouldn't be so many people raving about it if it wasn't a good product and it wasn't a good primer. I really hope I get to try it out one day, just to see for myself what all the fuss is about, because I'm a curious kind of lady. This might work for some people, it might not work for others. My skin is not your skin, and my makeup preferences are not necessarily the same as yours. So what works for me and what I consider a good dupe, or whatever I consider a success, may not be the same for you. So keep that in mind. If you're interested in trying this out yourself, I don't see the harm. It's just sugar and any kind of lightweight moisturizer that works for you. So there you go. So this is probably a good time to end the video. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider subscribing to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one.